And we are live! Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Midweek Mixer Podcast. This week, it's just the four of us. Patchett, unfortunately, is feeling a little bit ill. Shom is still ill. Mick is entertaining. So it is us four wonderful people right here. First and foremost, we will introduce our special guest this week, and that is Animated Evil. How are you doing today, sir? What you been up to?
Hello. Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the invite. Awesome to meet all you three of you guys on a podcast.
Likewise,
Yeah.
brother, likewise.
What have I been up to? Not a lot really in gaming wise. Had a really quiet week. Too busy at work. Of course, living in the UK, the same as a couple of other members, and even Roxenberger. Do you know what? Living in Germany as well. It's hot. Nobody wants to game in
Oh,
heat.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, other than that, just not been up to a lot this week. It's all work at the minute because it's silly season in the industry I work at. So it's been absolutely.
You can
really
swear on this
busy, mate,
podcast,
so-
don't worry.
Well, do you know what? It's been putting me on my ass. Okay, there we go. There we go. I'll be the first to swear. I'll be the first unimpressionable one. You know. There we go. Unprofessional one is. Today. There we go.
Yeah, you had a chance to do any gaming recently? I know you mentioned you did the other day.
Yes and no. I try to get on Twitch a couple of times a week, and I had an absolutely hilarious time last night on Human Fall Flat. Never played it before, because I jumped on with a friend, and he said, "Are you streaming?" Yeah, we're streaming. What have you got installed that I've got installed? And there was no multiplayer. It's like, what are we going to do? He said, let's just do Human Fall Flat. And I've never played it before. It was fun. It was fun. He's a complete dick, right? I love him to bits. But all he wanted to do for the first 10, 20 minutes is put me in a headlock and throw me off the ledge. But yeah, I've been playing that, a bit of COD. I do jump into Division 2 when I can.
Yeah.
Because Division 2 is just one of those games you can just keep going back to and back to and back to. But other than that, yeah, not a lot really.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Next up, Boxenberger. Welcome back, brother. Welcome back. I know you've got a show tomorrow and very much in the same status as me. It's hard to come up with topics, but I know you're grafting away trying to get them together.
Dude, this week we have I think the most community questions ever.
Yeah.
So I'm really not afraid of the podcast tomorrow. We have so many awesome questions from the community. And people, if you're listening, you can still write in. And like Dutch said, it's a light news week, so we might actually get to a lot of them. So highly recommend to send some in. We already have a bunch of fantastic ones. So yeah. But other than that, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Getting used with the new job is a little stressful. I find myself playing a little less these days, but it is still my recreational activity of choice. And I've been playing this week with Xbox Mike a lot of Diablo 3 again. Trying to level his character up a little bit so that we can do actually the greater Nephilim rifts together. Then yeah, I've been playing Cyberpunk again. After playing so many little indie games and smaller AA games over the last month or so, I had the itch to play something big again, a AAA game, a blockbuster game. And since there's really nothing coming out in like 6 months, I decided to go back to Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Still fantastic game. This time I'm going Nomad. First.
See, I started Nomad, but now once you've played through Nomad, trying to start anything else doesn't feel as good because the Nomad intro is so good.
I can imagine because I started my first playthrough. It was like a corpo playthrough, and I had a lot of fun with that. But now I know how the story ends.
Yeah.
At least the ending I got with that playthrough.
Yeah.
Obviously there are nuances.
There's actually two for every playthrough, and they're all different.
Yeah, and but now that I know where the story is going, I think like starting as Nomad makes the most sense in that game. So yeah, still enjoying this one. It's still a fantastic game. And it's ironed out now. I didn't have any issues so far. No crashes, no nothing, no major bugs. With the current gen patch, it runs beautiful. So yeah, if you haven't played Cyberpunk yet, now is the time. It's good now. It's really good.
Not only is it good, but it's pretty cheap now as well, isn't it?
Yeah, true. And there's a sale right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Right. So now is your chance, guys. Now is the chance to play Cyberpunk. Well, and then I've been playing a couple of Fall Guys matches, of course, in between. Just a stupid, silly, little, awesome, addictive game. Yeah. So that's mainly what I've been up to.
Awesome stuff. Before I introduce the general, shout out to Muppet for 8-month membership. And he says, animated evil, you sexy man.
He doesn't mean that. He doesn't mean that. He's lying.
General C, how are you doing today, brother? What you been up to?
Not too bad. Trying to keep cool in this hot, sweaty weather. Trying to keep the dog cool as well, because she's like constantly panting because it's so hot. So yeah, just try. I've got the studio door open, the window open. I'm just trying to let as much airflow run through the studio right now as possible, so I don't pass out mid-podcast.
Yep.
Played a bit of Skyrim. I mentioned that on the weekend show. Been playing a bit of Skyrim. Actually getting back into it this time.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
So Skyrim's always one of them games.
I played that over the weekend as well. I was watching the Starfield trailer again, and I got that Bethesda itch again. So yeah.
So did I, and I forgot to mention it.
Yeah.
So the problem I have with most RPG games is once I've completed it and I step away from it, I find it hard to come back and get into it.
Yeah.
So with Skyrim, I'm usually one of them people that just install it. I'll play it for a few minutes just to walk around and do a few things in the game, and then I won't play the game again for weeks and weeks. But this time, I'm really getting back into it. I'm doing the Dawn Guard DLC at the moment. I'm having a blast with that. Can't go wrong with becoming a vampire lord. And I got back into Magic the Gathering as well, the actual card game.
Ooh.
So yeah, I've been playing that with one of my mates who got me back into it. It's been years since I played that. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing, apart from CFEs yesterday with you and the midweek mix-up crew, Mick, Pluck, and friends. Yeah, that was a blast. There was some cheating going on there on the people that we were being constantly attacked by, but they weren't very good at the cheating. I'll tell you that.
Nope.
The amount of times I killed them was I lost count in the end. And there was one time when they all tried to gang up on me, and I managed to kill all three of them. So they were probably the worst cheaters I've come across. And I think it's hilarious that they lost to one person.
The main thing for us that we noticed was their immediate respawning and the ship never sank. We literally had to pin them down.
Every time we got close to them, it was a bit stuttery.
Yeah.
Not too stuttery to the point where you couldn't fight them, but it was enough to notice.
Yeah. It was a case of like the only time we could sink the ship was when we pinned it down for like 10-15 minutes and repeatedly shot at it.
Yeah, multiple of us also had a problem with trying to get on their ladders. Like it would glitch and not allow you to get onto the ladders of their ship.
Yeah.
But it was only when it was moving. When it was stationary, it was easy to get on.
Yeah.
And, especially with Mick.
Were you guys playing on PC or Xbox?
Xbox with crossplay on.
Yeah, Xbox with crossplay on. One of the people that we were against was on PC, so you can expect that it's way more easier to cheat on PC than it is console.
Yeah, and the thing is, is all these the three accounts that were against these three guys were all essentially brand new Xbox accounts, all of them playing on PC. So it was quite easy to pin down what the issue was there.
I mean, it's pretty ridiculous because you know a player's bad when they're cheating.
Yeah.
But to be bad at cheating as well is like the icing on the cake. It's like, why? Why do it? If you can't play properly and you can't play with cheats, what's the point?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I've done gaming wise.
Pretty much exactly the same for me, to be honest. Obviously, I was playing Sea of Thieves. Like I said, that was the first time I'd played the game for quite a few days because of the heat. I mentioned before there, the only cool room in my house is the living room because there's no sun facing it. And yeah, it's just so warm in this room, and of course this setup here, it's like 2 lights on either side and laptop and monitor and and then usually back there I've got something on, but today no, it's just this lot, windows open, no lights, everything nice and cool-ish for the moment. But trying to game in
usually the PC that generates the most heat.
Yeah.
So it's all right when you first switch it on, but like 20 minutes later, it's like you're just dripping and dripping of sweat. But yeah, luckily I've got everything open, the windows and the door, so it's not that bad at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But a quick shout out to everybody in chat as well before we get going. Hello, back from the dead, mid-wee mix-up, Studos, Mr. Joanna Dark, Phantos, as usual, Echelon 7, The Darkness. Who else have we got down here? Barely Making Rent. Hello there, sir. How are you doing? Go down. Mr. Joshua James. How are you doing today, sir? Mr. Kia Sante. Hello. Sourblow Gaming. Hello. Balantone. Hello there, sir. And everybody else. Mr. Andrew Cullinane as well. And Muppet. Hello. Hope you're all having an awesome day. Hope you're all enjoying the show or will enjoy the show. But let's get right into it. Of course, the discussions today. We're going to get into discussing the new trailer for Robocop Rogue City. The announcement from Nacon that they are currently developing Terminator survival game. Gamescom. Xbox confirms their attendance and an in-person fan event again for Gamescom. PlayStation also confirms its absence from Gamescom again this year. Best and worst games we've played in 2022. That's going to be an interesting one. So let's get into it. First of all, of course, the unveiling and little bit of gameplay for Robocop Rogue City that was announced the other day, or at least shown off the other day. Have any of you guys had a chance to have a little brief watch of Robocop Rogue City?
Yes, I did. Yes,
Terrific.
I did, and it looks good. It
Terrific.
looks fantastic, actually.
I remember they had the trailer for it like a year ago, right? Or was it at the Game
Really?
Awards? I can't remember. It might have been at
I
the
can't
Game
remember.
Awards.
I thought it was announced with this reveal here.
No, there was
Yeah, I thought this was
a very
really good.
short teaser trailer, like what they did with this Terminator survival game, because they're both done by the same company. But yeah, it was just like a short 30-second little teaser for Robocop.
Oh. So yeah, I missed that. So for me, it was like a new game announcement, a game reveal, with nothing happening right now in the gaming industry. It's exciting. No, seriously, there is the game looks great. Exactly what I would like a RoboCop game in 23 to look like. So yeah, nothing to complain. I'm just hoping it doesn't get buried in 23. I feel like that is a game that could get overshadowed by all these other big games in 23, and I feel like a lot of games on this scale and scope will suffer that fate. 23 is gonna be so incredibly packed with AAA releases that games like this will have a really, really hard time to find their player base. It really does look good, and I do hope that I'm wrong, and that this game is gonna be a success.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. What did you make of the gameplay that you did see? Were you impressed by it? Were you hoping for something else? Were you hoping for something more?
No, I thought it looked good. Well, graphics wise, it looks good. It doesn't look like the best looking game, but looks good. Gameplay loop looks fun. Do hope it comes with enough content. I do hope that sometimes it's hard to tell if the actual mechanics like shooting or taking cover or stuff like that is actually satisfying, and if it feels good. That's what defines such a game. Like Animated Evil talked earlier about Division. They nailed that. It just feels like so good to take cover, to shoot, to do that, all these kind of things. And so yeah, but I was surprised by the quality that I've seen. How about you?
Yeah, I thought it looked. I thought it looked pretty good. To be fair, I'm intrigued to see what the story's going to be. The one good thing I did like was the likeness of
Yeah.
Robocop to the original film version of Robocop. The original actor.
The original actor as well, voicing
Is it?
him is Peter Weller. He's coming back. Well, he's obviously come back to voice the character in the game.
That's even
So yeah,
better.
it's pretty cool that he's returning.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks awesome. Looks interesting. I think the make or break will be for me. I think the gameplay looks awesome. Graphically, it looks good. The make or break will certainly be whether or not the story holds up in the game, and how they kind of build the world and what kind of direction they go down story wise for that. Whether or not they follow more the traditional RoboCop original film route and kind of do one of them stories and turn it into a film, or I don't know. Jem, what do you think of what you've seen so far?
There's a few sections in it that kind of come across as if certain parts of this game are going to be like an on the rail shooter,
Yeah,
because it seems very like slow paced in areas. But I guess you got to expect that. Robocop looks a bit slow and clunky anyway in the movies. Graphics wise, are pretty good as well. There's some dark humor thrown in there too, and I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Been a long time since I've seen the first RoboCop movie. Like, I must have been a kid when I saw that, and I don't really remember it all that well. So I kind of do need to watch that. I'm also wondering if this is going to sort of tie into those movies in any way, shape, or form.
yeah.
But yeah, it looks fairly interesting. I didn't even know Nacon made games. I thought they were like a gaming accessory company, but apparently they publish games now as well.
They are an accessory company, but they've published, not only have they published games recently, but they've started acquiring developers and acquiring other companies as well to get more into it. So there's quite a few. I mean, I've forgotten who produced Rig previously. I think it was Plantronics, wasn't it? And they acquired Plantronics, and now they own the Rig headsets and things like that. So they're doing more accessories and controllers, and now games as well. So, yes, yeah. Animated Evil. What about you, sir? What have you made of it?
Yeah, do you know what? I liked it, but I'm looking at RoboCop through nostalgia rimmed glasses, right?
Yeah.
That's the only
Rose
reason
tinted goggles, yeah.
Nostalgia rimmed glasses, yeah. Because that's like General C said. I've not watched it for a very long time. Not all the movies are great. I did like the fact that it referred to "Can you fly, Bobby?" where he throws him out the helicopter. That was used it through the window. If you can remember that.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. Yeah. So when he goes, "Can you fly?" and he throws him out the window, that's a definite reference to the way the films work and things like that.
Yeah.
Of course, RoboCop is going to be a slowish character, and it depends what they do with it. I mean, it depends what the developer does with it. It looks good to me, but like I said, it just filled me with a hell of a lot of nostalgia. And I thought, oh, I love those films growing up. I want to play it. And the problem is it too little too late for getting a new audience to making that IP big? Because it's not all going to be about old guys like us, right? Because let's be fair, it's not going to be.
No, you're absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
It depends on what it hits. And the audience.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very nostalgia heavy game. People are going to buy it.
Yep.
Grew up with it.
And is there really much nostalgia going on right now? I'm not sure. I haven't heard anyone ask for that IP to come back either in a movie or in a game or.
Well, after the last one, they tried to do the reboot movie. We all know how that movie turned out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But there seems to be this thing going on with the old nostalgic old IPs and things. We know Indiana Jones is coming. Who asked for that? Nobody asked for that. Still going to come. It's still going to. That's going to be a banger, hopefully. We're also going to talk about Terminator as well in a bit, and that's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just if it can hit the right audience and it takes off, then great. Bring it on. I will love it. It did look good. I love the graphical style of it. I love the way it was very dark, like General C said. It had that dark sort of tint to it. Yeah. If it works, I'll play it.
Yeah, it certainly looks
very
good.
Interesting.
Yeah, certainly looks interesting.
We need to get briefly to a super chat.
Yes, I did see that one pop in a little bit.
I don't want to let that stand here.
Okay, let's bring this one up. I've just seen it there. So Mr. Joanna Dark's $5 super chat. He says, "Hello, gents. Can we give Boxenberger a timeout for his slander against Peppa the Pig?"
So,
no.
Careful, I'm not here in chat, so there's only one guy getting a timeout here soon, because we all know game of the year is Paw Patrol. Come on, it's not about the pig, it is Paw Patrol.
Yeah.
I still can't believe I've got to play Peppa Pig tomorrow for 2 hours on stream.
Yes, you do.
You're gonna play that? Why?
He lost a bet.
I lost a bet to Tony Akami. He pops by my chat from time to time and chats away. He bet me in a game of Hunt Showdown that I wasn't going to win. And I confidently thought I was going to win because that's my game. I play it a lot. And I lost. So I suffer the consequences of my actions.
There you go. Now 2 hours of Peppa Pig is your reward.
2 hours of Peppa Pig is my punishment.
Oh, dear me.
Yep. So that's going to be painful.
Mr. Joanna Dark demands in chat, let's get a poll started. That's something Dutch has to set up here in the chat.
Paw Patrol versus Peppa Pig.
Yes, indeed. Do I want to start? I don't know. Paw Patrol versus Super. Let's see if I can do that quickly. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but seriously, today Paw Patrol, the game, the movie game came out, and my kids are just through the roof with excitement. So
yeah, super excited for it.
It is these Paw Patrol games are actually really good kid games.
Oh yeah, I remember when it actually came out. Because didn't you actually get it when it launched?
It was a different
different one
game. It was called Paw Patrol the Mighty Pups or something.
Okay.
Something like that. And this is now the game that is attached to the movie. There was a big movie in the cinema, I want to say a year ago or 6 months ago or so. Yeah, fantastic kid game. My kids love it.
Right, here we go. Paw Patrol, Peppa Pig.
Albo saying I lost on purpose because I actually really wanted to play Peppa Pig.
There you go. Facts, people. Facts, you heard it here first.
Yeah, me. But yes, next next topic, we're jumping into another Nacon reveal, and this one's by Nacon themselves. This is by a, I think it's, I've forgotten the actual Nacon studio location, but it is direct Nacon that are developing this.
Milan Dutch.
Milan, Nacon Milan. Okay,
Yep.
terrific, thank you. It is Terminator survival game. They don't have an official title for it yet, but their comments on it so far are: you play as a group of nuclear apocalypse survivors fighting to stay alive in a time period between Judgment Day and the creation of John Connor's Resistance. We can't say much more for now, but it's definitely something to keep your eyes on. Sounds like the perfect time frame, really. Kind of between Judgment Day and John Connor's Resistance. We know, of course, it's a struggle point there. But it's certainly intriguing that we're going to be against the Terminator, essentially, or Terminators. We're going to be against the machines. It is a survival game in a different aspect than we kind of were expecting. And to be fair, it'd probably be a very interesting thing to try and survive, try and fight against the machines. Jen, what do you make of the knowledge that this is being created now and the concept behind it?
It sounds interesting, but again, there's some vague stuff there. It's hard to tell what it's going to be like with so little information. Hopefully, it's along the lines of like Daisy or something like that, but obviously on steroids, so it's a lot more like packed with content and things to do. I'm wondering if there's going to be like a multiplayer element to it.
Or even co-op.
Yeah, like maybe co-op or if it is along the lines of like Daisy, where you just drop into a world that's sort of a server that's filled with other people that are running around doing things as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you can choose to team up or go against the other survivors, because that's the sort of thing you'd expect in that sort of world. Not everyone's going to be helpful. There's going to be people out there that want to stab you in the back and take what you've got.
Yeah.
So hopefully they put those sort of decent survival mechanics that people have grown to expect in these types of games that people really enjoy. Obviously needs to be some sort of crafting element for things like explosives and such like that. But yeah, it sounds like it could be an interesting game. But like I said, there's so little information, and the trailer doesn't really give much away. You just see the Terminator, and that's relatively it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as we get more information about it, it'll be another topic to bring up for another time, I guess.
Yeah.
But it could be something special if done right.
And I suppose it depends on what. I'll super chat that's just come through there. I suppose it depends on what time frame or dimension really this is in, because of course, is it going to be on Earth? So obviously and we know what period it is, but is it going to be on Earth prior to destruction, or is it going to be in destruction? Kind of where all the fighting is actually happening. That would be quite interesting. I would imagine, judging by that, it's a survival game in that universe.
I kind of hope it's not going to be like a copy paste of Fallout 76.
Yeah.
Because I don't go much on Fallout 76. What I played of it was not the greatest.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, animated. What do you think? What have your thoughts on a survival? Well, essentially, potentially an open world survival Terminator.
Well, for me, it raises questions. Okay, so the devs Nacon say you play as a group of nuclear apocalypse survivors, right?
Yeah.
First question is, how big is this group?
Yeah.
If the group's 4 people, I'm out. Do you know what? It all depends on. There's so many questions we don't know enough at the moment. For me, the trailer itself gave me Friday the 13th vibes. As in, I don't want that. Right?
Yeah.
It did, like as if to say, there's one bad guy. You're gonna have to work against it. That's not what I want.
Yeah, a bit like with the Evil Dead game as well, where it's like a 4 versus 1. I hope it's not that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, the whole thing of the unstoppable bad guy / girl or whatever you have to take him down, and you're a group of 4 bullet sponges that have to do this, that, and the other. General C made a good point. If it's proper survival, open world, a lot of people, maybe not, maybe a lot of bad guys as well. Maybe it's all about the multiplayer element.
Yeah.
The weird thing, it begs the trailer itself begs too many questions. Again, the same as Robocop, Terminator. It's nostalgia rimmed glasses yet again. It's old, and I know that there's newer movies, but the greatest ones were the older movies, right? Let's be fair.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong with the older movies.
Yeah, no doubt.
4 was okay, but after that, forget it.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what they're bringing to the table and how they want to approach it. I mean, the Nacon Studio Milan, the only other game they've made is Rims, which is the motorcycle racing game that was
that was from Nacon. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the same studio. Nacon Milan they made Rims. I wasn't impressed, but then again, motorbike games are difficult to do.
Yeah,
difficult to nail down anyway.
I mean, graphically, it looked beautiful. Graphically, it was pretty impressive.
But we don't know how far along that is and where it is, and
yeah, exactly.
The entire game could launch completely different to that.
With them saying it's a survival game, I expect it to be like the majority of survival games. Like, I don't know, maybe they take it in that Escape from Tarkov type direction, or mix that with DayZ.
Well, we'll get to that super chat actually, because that bodes a good point.
I agree. Sorry, I agree, but it's the way they use group. I don't like.
Yeah.
Because if they said it's a multiplayer survival game, I'm all in. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's the way they use the word group. Of how big's the group? Let me know, and I'll.
Yeah. You get a better idea.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Good point.
In terms
Get
of
to the
setting,
super chat.
Yeah, super chat. So, Mr. Joanna Dark, $5 again. Thank you, sir. He says, I want the devs of the Terminator game to take some inspiration from Generation Z, obviously Generation Zero, which is humans versus mechs. If people haven't played that yet, it is available on Xbox. I think it's in Gamepass as well. And take some elements that worked in that game. Thoughts? I've actually downloaded the game, but I haven't actually got round to playing it as yet or trying it out. But the concept is very much the same. It is a case of mechs have taken over. Humans are trying to fight back. They're slowly progressing, building weapons from scraps and things like that, and trying to take down the mechs again, and reclaim the planet. So the good concept. Have any of you guys tried Generation Zero before?
Oh, a good friend of mine is really big into the game. He has I want to say 300 hours or so into it. And so yeah, I tried it because of course I wanted to see what the fuss is all about. It is a super complex game.
Yeah.
So it's really not a game that you pick up and give a try. You have to really invest a lot of time to understand the mechanics and how everything is interconnected and how it works. So I wasn't too fond about it after 2 or 3 hours. So I said, dude, why are you so addicted? And he was like, let me show you something. And obviously he was very late into the game, and then it actually looked really good. So I have it actually on my list to give it another try, but I need to have patience for that game.
Yeah.
So, but to Mr. Joanna Dark's point, I think what really stood out to me when he showed me a couple of things in that game was the AI. The AI of these robo dogs and stuff was really super impressive. How they pick up on your on your path and your noise, and the way how you had to take cover, and then how you loot them or scrap them for loot, and it was really impressive. Very deep mechanics. So and that's why I love the idea. We have like these casual games a lot out there, and if you go into a lore or universe like Terminator that is known by everyone, and everyone wants like a shooter, bang bang, easy triple, easy to get into popcorn cinematic
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
Yeah, you know what I mean.
yeah.
I would love to see them do something like Generation C, where it's like a real complex game, but real deep. And yeah, depending on when that game will play, or did they say that?
No, they just said, yeah, the comments essentially were very,
between Judgment Day and the creation of John Connor's Resistance. So
yeah,
I think like it's at least after Judgment Day, so you can really do a lot with those kind of mechanics, like
yeah,
you playing, I don't know, a Survivor and fighting the early mechs and bots, and yeah, I love the idea. It could be cool.
definitely, definitely.
What was the Terminator movie with Christian Bale in it?
That had to be a recent one. Because I haven't seen it.
It was. What's the first recent one?
Salvation.
Salvation, yeah.
I think it'll be set in that sort of time period. Because that movie was, I guess, more about the Resistance than John Connor itself. But
Right.
John Connor was a main character in it.
Yeah. I think that probably like Boxy was saying, I think for me it's finding the right balance between, because of course you're going to get people that are nostalgic and want to play a good Terminator game, but you also don't want it like it's just a cinematic game that you kind of walk through and do your basic survival stuff. You kind of want a good mix between those cinematic moments and the complex survival game where the looting has to be right, and of course these robots, the Terminators themselves, aren't just easily destructible. They're not just going to blow them up in seconds. Like, they will just keep charging at you. They'll just keep coming. You need to make, because obviously even if you think of all of the films, really, these Terminators, and depending on what Terminators they include in the game, whether or not they just go for the standard version, which you see Arnold play, or whether or not you fight against Liquid Terminator later on in the game and go against him, and so on and so forth. Depending on what model Terminators you fight in the game as well, can show kind of the different complexities. And of course, we know in the actual war itself, you didn't just have Terminators, you had these giant kind of mechs and walkers and things that went around blowing things up, and I think there's a lot of different things to kind of put into practice there as well, and see really how you go around those complexities and how difficult they are. What do you think, Jen? What do you think the requirements are for this game?
Like I've said, it needs to be a mix of Daisy, maybe some Escape from Tarkov elements. I mean, they could even throw a few Hunt Showdown elements in there.
Yeah.
And that game would appeal right to me. But it's like what Animated Evil said, the word in there is very questionable.
It's open. It's open.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as well, is they know it's a
know.
bit open as well, because of course they've said we can't say more for now, but it's definitely something to keep your eyes on. So it's obviously early. It's obviously
it's a very
pretty early in development.
It's a very questionable quote that they've said there. So yeah, it's hard to know.
But what do you want from it? What do you ideally want for it? What do you want it to be?
It needs to be like considering they're saying it's a survival game, it needs to be a hardcore survival game, and that'll be perfect for me.
Yeah.
I'll be into that.
That's fair. That's fair. Animated, what about yourself? What do you want this to be?
For me, my opinion's already been stolen in the chat by Grimglam. I hope it's State of Decay with Terminators, basically. That, because State of Decay was so good, right? Let's be honest.
Oh yeah,
and permadeath characters.
I'm not all for survival and stuff like that, but that game was really good. I really do like it. So something like that with just somewhere to mix it up, because apparently I've not played Daisy, but I've seen it. That looks really, really good. Amalgamate the two, you've got a winner. right? Somehow,
Mm.
Yeah.
just something different. Don't rinse
Daisy,
somebody else's idea.
I've played Daisy myself. It can be a lot of fun, especially if you're in a group of friends that know what they're doing and that have got your back. So if you do bump into anyone else that is on playing the game and they do want to give you a hard time, you got some backup. So it kind of needs to be like that, where you've got the element that there's other people out there wandering around that can make life hell for you in that game. Kind of like
Yeah.
in Sea of Thieves when you get the occasional dickhead that wants to shout and ruin you even in.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole point is of the survival thing, right? Is to force you to play with your friends or with some people and actually work together. Otherwise, you've got no chance, right?
Yeah.
That's if it can incorporate that, I think we're on to a winner. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Man, I love his passion for State of Decay too. That we need to keep him on this panel.
Yeah, it is. It's a very underrated game. It wasn't actually that long ago I went back onto it. To be fair, it was a couple of months back I went back onto it to see what the changes had been, because so many updates since it launched, and the amount of updates they give that game is astounding. And to be fair, it needed it originally, but it's now
but
to
still
a place.
at launch, it was so good. Good.
It was. It just had its online
it had
issues.
its flaws and bugs and everything. And still, I was like, I rarely have that with games, that I sit there like at 1 a.m. and oh man, I need to go to bed, and I'm just gonna do one more house. I'm gonna loot one more house.
Yeah,
and then
just
I'm
in
sitting
case.
there like till
just
4
one more
a.m.
house though.
There is no such thing as just one more house. And then I'm sitting there like at 4 a.m. and the next day I hate my life, and then I start the entire thing the next night again, and it is. That just tells you something about this game. It has the core gameplay mechanic, the core gameplay loop is so incredibly well realized. So yeah, definitely.
It's to be fair, that was a good shout. A good shout, that one, potentially comparing it to a type of State of Decay, because again, that is, you have permadeaths for your characters. These are random, of course, NPCs. They've all got names, they've all got personalities and backstories and things like that. But if you don't look after them, you don't take care of them, they can die and die forever. And I think being, again, an actual true survival game, taking notes from that would be awesome. It would be awesome. I did like was it kind of was it? Because I know later on in development they kind of changed it, where the maps kind of do change a little bit, but I think, is it a case of the maps are kind of they're not always the same? Like, you can go into someone else's game world and things are in different places and things like that. Is that State of Decay? I'm sure it is. The second one, at least, not the first one.
Yeah, it is. Well, the map isn't changing, but it depends on what you did on that map. Like, which houses you looted, where you built your base, how you set up your base, and that actually changes, of course, the environment and everything. So,
yeah, you can pretty much choose. You haven't got a set base to build. You can choose what to build in what spot.
Yeah.
So if you want a vegetable garden over there, you can put it over there. If you want it over there, have it over there. So everyone's sort of home base is very, very different.
Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Awesome stuff. The next one we're going to get into today is Gamescom. Of course, believe it or not, and thankfully at the same time, because it's, again, getting all dry on the news again very quickly after E3 period. Gamescom is coming up, and that is, I do believe, just next month, August.
Yeah, August.
And Xbox have already confirmed they are in attendance again this year. They are, of course, going to do their own little event, and they will have in-person fan attendance again. So another fan fest attendance for Gamescom this year. PlayStation have come out and confirmed they are not taking part in Gamescom this year.
Doesn't surprise me that.
Yeah. Was that sarcastic or genuine?
Sony have gone so quiet. It's kind of annoying me at this point. I just want to see what they're doing.
Yeah. To me, it's a bit strange. It is a little bit strange to me, because I'm so used to... and it's not so much so used to PlayStation saying a lot, but it's a case of... PlayStation to me have been more quiet than they've ever been in recent years. Even now, we don't know. Like, we know this year they've got God of War. They've also got the Last of Us Part 1 remake. But outside of that, we have really no idea on what their pipeline holds. We've got no idea. Like, what is the next 12 months? Like, what is the next 12? You've got a little bit of a buzz going on with your microphone, Boxy.
I do.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Every time you unmute it,
Okay.
it's buzzing. Might just be.
Kind of sounds like
cool.
you're shaving.
Might just be
Using
the.
that Manscaped
I don't know whether or not the gain's up a little bit too high or
I don't
something.
know.
Maybe is the gain up a little
I
bit
don't
too
know.
high or something. I don't know.
But you say it only happens when I mute my mic.
No, when you're unmuted.
So it's right now.
Right now you're okay, but when
Someone
you
goes
just
away,
unmuted for the
but
first
when you
time,
mute again
yeah,
and then unmute, it starts buzzing again.
which is weird.
That is weird. So I myself muted.
Yeah, but when if it's just having no foresight as to okay, what after this year, what have you got planned? Like we have 2023, we've got really no idea. We know Forspoken's been pushed to 23, but outside of that, what have we actually got planned for PlayStation next year, or even 24? Like we don't know even next year's plan, let alone anything else. So we know God of War has eventually been released, and we know we've got the remake and Forspoken in January. But outside of that, what is actually happening with PlayStation? It's too quiet.
It is really weird because that is you're 100% correct. It is something that PlayStation always did. They sold their roadmap. They were selling like hope. They announced games really early on. If you remember, like Death Stranding was announced before it even had an engine. Yeah, so like 5 years out. And it always worked for PlayStation very well because it is like if you are going into store right now and you decide, okay, what am I going to get? An Xbox, a Nintendo, a PlayStation, knowing the roadmap, knowing, okay, if I buy a PlayStation now, I get in like 2 years a new Uncharted, and then I will get a new Spider-Man game, and then I get a Ghost of Tsushima and the Days Gone. And that was like what they did in the last generation. It was really like they sold that system on hope, on the roadmap that is coming.
Yeah.
And it worked very well for them. And I actually liked that approach. And Microsoft took that page right out of Sony's playbook. They announced 2020 and 2021, like 20 first-party games coming. They take years to make. Okay, different topic.
Yeah.
I have so many thoughts, but you knew what you will be playing on your Xbox when you bought it in 2020. You didn't know exactly when, and we all were hoping like we were playing those games in 21 and 22, and now we're more looking to 23 and 24. But still, they laid out the roadmap, and players know what to expect. And Sony didn't do that this time. It is really weird. You're 100% correct. Like after this year, what is coming? We only know the 2 Insomniac games, and that's it.
Yeah.
We know Spider-Man 2 is coming and Wolverine is coming. The 2 Insomniac games. But what are the other 16, 17 studios from PlayStation working on?
Yeah.
We have no idea. And that is really weird and unprecedented for PlayStation. So, yeah.
I'm interested to see what Cory Barlog's working on, because at Santa Monica Studios, they're working on something different to the team that's working on Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what that is. That could be something really surprising, because what he did with God of War, bloody amazing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He deserves a pat on the back for pushing God of War in that direction.
It's for me, for PlayStation specifically, it's the fact that they are not even kind of addressing not having any shows so far and not saying anything about any shows, or even saying, okay, we're looking to do a show in August at some point. Like, we'll have more details close to the time, but it's going to be a show in August. We'll kind of talk about the future, or at least the next 12 months on PlayStation. Like, nothing. It is being, like, deathly quiet. And then, again, it wasn't even essentially the other day for the release date of God of War. It was a case of they just dropped it on Twitter, which is it's completely unlike them to just drop a major release date just as a Twitter post. Just not say anything, but just, there you go, there's the release date, right, see you later. And then that was it, done. Like, that's so not PlayStation, I don't understand it.
Siki
It's
says in
weird
chat, I
as
forgot
well.
The Last of Us multiplayer. He's right. Yeah, we know about that as well. Still, it's I mean, we know that PlayStation will have games.
Yeah.
They have their studios on that roll, and they didn't have a 2022 like Xbox. Yeah, so we know that something is coming. It's just weird that they don't talk about that.
Yeah.
And I wonder why. Maybe it is because they will also have like timing issues, that some of the plans shifted around. If you have like, I don't know, 3 games planned for 23, 3 games planned for 24, and suddenly all 23 games are getting delayed, but the 24 games don't. You run into these kind of troubles, and if figuring that out, I don't know, but still, honestly, I expect Sony to have their own show. They had one each and every year. It was usually over the last years. It was usually later in the year, like September. Last year they had at end of September their show, and that's when I expect to actually see some of these game announcements and hope titles, dream titles coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't really be surprised if Sony don't even do an event this year. I think we're likely to see one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sony
just do a God of
decided
War
not to.
kind of state
Just do
of
a
play.
state of play for God of War, or maybe a state of play for The Last of Us remake, and that's it from Sony. And they do something within like the first 3 months of next year. I wouldn't be surprised with that. It feels weird that they're this quiet, though.
Yeah.
I think with Sony, for me, it feels like they've garnered an air of arrogance about themselves, that they don't need to do it. They don't need to turn up to Gamescom, because guess what?
True,
They'll do their own show and get all the views they need. So especially with E3 as well, when it was run by the last people, not the people that are going to do it now. I forget. Is it EST? Whatever it's called.
ESA.
Yeah, ESA. Thank you. Yeah, they had to pay in to get there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
With all this thing that's gone on at the moment, we've all been locked down. That they've realised that guess what? They can do their own show and they don't have to spend that money.
Yeah.
So it's more like, and it feels to me like it's a more of that air of arrogance, saying, "Look, do you know what? We don't have to tell them, because when we do tell them, everyone's going to go nuts anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll do it on our terms, and not before."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where they've approached
Mm.
it.
The thing about Gamescom is really, though, that it is much more than E3. It is like a fan event, and it is a hands-on event. So if you look at Gamescom historically, it was really like E3 was this event that was, well, in the very old days, it was for retail. It was for retailers, yeah. And then they opened it up for the press, and then later, of course, a little bit for the influencers, and then now it's open to the public. But E3 was more like this event where all the press announcements were made.
Yeah.
And then like 3 months later, you get Gamescom, which is the hands-on event where all these media people, the press, and of course the community gets to play the demos of those games that were announced at E3. So, and now if you look at PlayStation and a Nintendo, by the way, they are not coming to Gamescom either.
Yeah. But Nintendo or Nintendo.
And Activision is not coming either.
Yeah.
But especially with Nintendo and with PlayStation, it is really like, okay, what kind of show floor demos can we have? Can we really give a God of War in playable in the hands of fans,
Yeah.
and that's a maybe. But everything else is a definitely no.
Yeah.
So they are not gonna put the next the Last of Us multiplayer as a playable demo on the show floor, or the Spider-Man 2 war,
Yeah.
something like that. So yeah, what should they show up? And yeah, so I wonder what Xbox is gonna do. Honestly, is there gonna be like a Starfield playable demo, a Redfall, a Forza?
I would imagine
Can people
Redfall,
get their
yes. Forza, probably. I can't imagine Starfield, though.
Apparently,
Yeah, Starfield, I don't think so either.
No, that's the same for me. I don't think we'll see Starfield as a
And then
playable
you can
demo.
probably stay in line for
Yeah.
like 6 hours to play Pentiment, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be epic.
apparently they're still sticking to their 12 months or more, or basically within 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Okay,
said
so-
it's only updates on the already announced games, so it's
They might
no
they
new.
might drop a surprise with something
Mm.
that's maybe coming out in Q2, but other than that, you've got nothing past Q2 2023.
I mean, maybe we get some infos on Ubisoft Plus
Yeah.
coming to Gamepass,
Xbox.
Game Pass to Xbox,
Yeah.
or the family plan for Game Pass, or
Yeah.
something like that. Those kind of things that were announced earlier this year, or leaked earlier this year, and we haven't heard anything about those kind of things. So last year they had a show at Gamescom. It was this show where everyone made fun of about them showing off the trebuchet in Age of Empires 4
Oh, it
and
was
stuff
good.
like that.
I like that. I really like that. It's
Dude,
good.
I thought so too. It's like, okay, what were people expecting? Another E3 kind of showcase? No, they said up front it's gonna be an in-depth look with developer interviews and stuff, and they delivered that, and I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I like to hear developers explaining their games, and so
Is it been confirmed then that everything we'll see at Gamescom is stuff that we've already seen
Yeah.
announced from E3?
Yeah.
That's good
that's
because
confirmed.
they've set expectations then.
Yeah, and what is not confirmed is if they have a show or not. They didn't say anything about it. I'm just saying that they had one last year. So
Yeah. I think they will. I think it'll be more like the extended showcase that we had for E3 this year.
Yeah.
I say E3.
yeah.
And to be fair,
As long as they show more High on Life, I'll be happy.
and I was going to say, to be fair, we enjoyed the extended more than we did the actual full one. I thought the extended was much better than the actual show. And for different reasons, of course, everyone's got their own feelings on that. But I thought the way the second one was laid out was good. I thought the pacing was good. You had the expectations. Okay, we're not going to see anything new. And then we were surprised with a few little nice announcements that we hadn't heard. So, like, he has a new game coming to Game Pass. He has another new game coming to Game Pass. He has this one. And we're like, okay, I wasn't expecting any of this, but great. And then finished off with that awesome Stalker 2 video at the end, which no one was expecting, which was really nice. So, I mean, and again...
The extended was fantastic.
Yeah.
It actually sold me on a couple of games that I wasn't too excited about in the main showcase, like High on Life.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, well, generic cartoony looking shooter. That was my takeaway in the main showcase. And when they showed a little bit more at the extended showcase and explained a little bit more about the game, and the developers did a fantastic job on that, by the way.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's cool. Now I get it. And that's why I love these in-depth looks. I want to add something to Gamescom real quick though.
Yeah.
Because Gamescom this year is kind of weird. It's because it's not just because Nintendo and PlayStation isn't there. It's like Activision is gonna have like the biggest game of the year, obviously, with Call of Duty, and they're not showing up. EA is a no-show. And they were historically big at Gamescom. Like, they've always had the new FIFA, the new Madden, and sports games. Yeah, for that alone, big presence there. They are not gonna show up. The only big 2K isn't showing up. So the only bigger publisher, confirmed right now for Gamescom is actually Ubisoft.
Yeah, I think for EA as well, I think one of their major problems that they'll be trying to fix before they can announce it is the fact that FIFA's not FIFA anymore. And any licensing
Well, it
agreements
is
that
this
they have.
year.
Yeah, it is
last
this year.
time it is FIFA.
Okay.
It's this year. So
I thought it was already
I
done
don't
and
know.
dusted.
And let's be real, it will just have a different name next year. It will
Yeah,
still
I
be
mean,
the same game that they sold us for the last 10 years.
I was going to say
infinitely
one of the
years.
other things they'd have to do this time around, and this is just going on FIFA things, is when they had the FIFA license, the vast majority of clubs and things that were associated with FIFA come with that license. So like the strips and the team names and things like that. So they had the ability to just put
They
them
will
in.
still have the team names and everything.
Oh, they'd still, but they'd have to
it's
agree
just a
them
FIFA
individually.
name.
Oh yeah, but now they'd have to negotiate that individually with the clubs that they're putting in.
Agree. Yeah,
That's the more ball ache for them to do. But of course, naturally, the clubs will want, and again, you've seen the updates that Konami have done with esports football, which is they kind of do these packs where it updates and you get the teams and the strips officially later on once they've got these license agreements. But initially, they'll just launch with like red Chester United or something ridiculous for Manchester and a blue Chester United for for Man City. It's these silly names until they get the licensing agreements.
I thought it was just the name FIFA itself. I thought they still had the license for the teams.
The vast majority,
wrong, but...
yeah, I was going to say for things like Real, Barca, Juventus, the big clubs, they're all individually negotiated, which is sometimes why you see like even in FIFA this year on 22, I've noticed there's one Juventus isn't Juventus in FIFA. Juventus is something else, something Calcio. It's not Juventus, and they don't have the Juventus strips or rights or badge or anything. That is on esports.
Wasn't Calcio their original name?
Yeah, which is how they've got around it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, with FIFA, yeah. But you see, my point is, like, Ubisoft is the only bigger publisher at Gamescom, and now the thing is that Ubisoft's showcase is actually after Gamescom.
Yeah.
So I don't expect Ubisoft to show up with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So Gamescom this year is really weird to me, and I wonder why. Is it really because the publishers are kind of afraid to actually go physically to this event, and like, okay, our teams might get COVID or something like that? Is it that, or is it really that like the entire industry is kind of like in this, I don't know what's a proper English phrasing, we are not in a little ballet of excitement. We are not you know.
You know what? For me, really, I think we're gonna see more delays. We know we are. We're all expecting everyone's gonna go. We're delaying this. We're delaying it. We've seen the aftermath of saying you're gonna get this game very soon, and then they're saying sorry, it delays, and then there's just sheer hate going around.
Well, that in the 12 months picture that Xbox released, there was a small print in there. So yeah, I expect some of those games to be delayed.
So if these publishers and whatever can't say, yeah, you're going to get this very soon, do you know what? Maybe they sat there thinking, we don't want to show this because all we're going to get is backlash and have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Especially what we saw from the community, well, the toxic side of the community with God of War and
that's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah, I mean, that was over that was over not knowing. So if they announce 3 games that this community is going to say, wow, we really want it. When's our release date? We want to know. And maybe they're protecting their developers and staff in that kind of way. That, you know what, a lot of people do go on. We've seen it in the last 8 months at least, where people are getting death threats. Unsolicited dick pics because somebody doesn't like what they've shown.
Yeah.
Held to ransom as such.
You're absolutely right, and we always see that kind of behavior in the community when there's not much to play and or not much news to talk about, actual news. then we suddenly see all these creeps come out of their basements, and
To be
it is.
honest, like, I'm surprised they actually announced God of War's release date so soon after everything that happened the week before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
'Cause
like
it kinda
they were
looks
afraid
like
that
they were-
it might
yeah.
get leaked, and
Yeah.
I think they wanted to just get ahead of that.
To me, though, that came across as if they were rewarding that bad behavior. They should have held off a few more weeks
But then-
and been
but-
like, well,
but-
that's toxic people's fault for you.
Devil's advocate, right? Devil's advocate. You said maybe you think it's rewarding, right? Devil's advocate, right? And I know they did come out straight after that. How do they protect their staff without saying this is the release date?
True.
Because their staff were getting all these things
Yeah.
going at them. I mean, I've never done anything such,
Yeah,
such like
you're
ever,
absolutely
ever in my
right.
life.
Sometimes you just gotta give in and
How-
save your
how do-
power and strength
word,
and energy. It because fighting like these kind of things and avoiding
Yeah,
leaks and protecting the staff.
I probably get
is-
that, but like, how many other people are going to look at that and go, "Oh, well, the people that were toxic towards the God of War developers
know
got
there
what
was-
they
yeah.
want a few days later."
I know there was a few
then
jokes
they're-
made about it in that sense as well. Like, oh look, it worked. But in my opinion,
I mean, you're gonna
yeah, go on, go on.
you're gonna get people look at that and see that as a win to that toxicity, and they're going to try and replicate it with other games.
For me, what I thought and what I saw anyway, and when I said this actually, I think it was last week as well when we were speaking on it. But to me, it felt like they just went, you know where it is. Here's the release, which is why I mentioned the method in which that they announced it, because that's very un-Sony. Usually they do a state of play and then announce it with a state of play and do a whole breakdown. And this was just like, here it is. Just there's your release date. Now shut up. That's what it kind of felt like. Just leave us all alone. There's your release date. Here's some info. Now be gone.
Yeah, I just hope that doesn't encourage that toxicity to continue.
I
It's
hate
probably
to
going to
call
continue
it-
anyway, but I don't want it to rise to that level.
Yeah.
I really hate to call it, right? So to stop that abuse, to stop that, let's announce a release date, even if we've got to delay it at a later date. I hate to call it, but I would have done as a studio head. Let's protect my people. There's your release date. I tell you what, we'll just delay it later on.
Yeah.
And because they're not going to rush the game, of course
No.
not. The studio is too good for that. But I'm expecting a delay because of it.
Yeah.
But, do you know what? I hate to call it because you're going to get more hate, but what can you do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's devil's advocate, isn't it? It's
I
what you
understand that. Yeah.
you can't win either way. You can't.
True.
But
It's
yes.
unfortunate, and I think it will lead to more people trying that tactic because it feels like that to them they're going to take that as a win.
Yeah. And it's weird, you know where it is? And going back to the whole Gamescom thing, it's weird because, of course, we've said our piece about Xbox, their showcase and how they've presented their lack of games this year. And going into next year, we know the games that we've got, but the plan that they're going to do going forward will be better because, of course, only showing 12 months after you've ironed out the creases, which is essentially this entire year has been a giant crease because nothing's happened. Next year, you've got 3-4 major releases in the opening section, never mind the tail end of the year. And going forward, the 12-month should work because you will have 23 to 24, 24 to 25, 25 to 20, and that should be fine. But it hasn't worked this year. On Sony's side, of course, we still know from Xbox all of the projects pretty much. But I think it's 10 or something that still have code names, but the vast majority of their roadmap has been unveiled. We know Fable, we know Indiana Jones, we know Hellblade 2, we know X, Y, Z. The list is long of the games we know of that are getting developed and will be coming out across the course of this generation. On Sony's front, we don't. And it is very interesting to me to see what is, and that is the thing. The only reason I'm mentioning this really is people, again, for us to see this, to see the medium get pushed forward and to see what other developers are actively creating and what they're developing. And even Xbox execs will be thinking the same thing. They'll be thinking, I really want to know what they're up to and what they're creating and how they're going to push the boundaries and what they're going to do to push this generation forward. And like because of course every developer and this is where the fanboys don't understand it or don't want to understand it. All Xbox execs play PlayStation games, all PlayStation execs play Xbox games and play Nintendo games. They all play each other's games, they take inspiration from each other, they all support each other. And this is what pushes the medium forward because they see, for instance, a guy from playing or designing a game over on PlayStation might play Gears of War one day and go, I really like that mechanic, or I really like the way they've done that lighting. Like that's the kind of lighting kind of we want to go for, or I really like how they've done this kind of character arc or their emotions. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I would look to do in something and take inspiration and create something on their end. And that helps push the medium forward a little bit further. So the reason I want to, other than just from a gameplay perspective and playing PlayStation's future titles, is I want to see what kind of new and interesting things they're working on now. I want to see the future of PlayStation for this generation. And it doesn't have to be, I'm not saying tell us what's coming out in 25, 26. I don't want to see that like that far out. I'm not that bothered about, but at least maybe the next 24 months, right? What you, outside of Spider-Man and Wolverine, what have you got going on? Like, what is this roadmap? What new things are you creating that's going to excite me and get me going, ooh, what's that about? What is this new IP? What is this new game? That's the kind of stuff that I'm wanting from PlayStation because, again, it's going to push the medium forward. We need Xbox performing because it's going to push Sony. We need Sony performing because it's going to push Xbox. We need Nintendo doing something because, again, as much as people like, and we all know Nintendo do their own thing, everyone still, and Reggie, of course, was a really big influence on the entire community. Reggie was, again, much loved by both PlayStation and Xbox bosses. He's got an awesome book out now which kind of talks about everything that's going on in the kind of gaming community and how it affected and how it worked and things like that. And he was a really positive influence on it, but he spoke out about it as well before. And ideally, we just need all three of them really pushing the boat out. And Nintendo's games always do that. Nintendo push what they've got and do really well. Granted, there's a lot of things that can be done better with graphically and hardware and things like that, but their games
You can't fault their
can't
gameplay
knock them.
mechanics, though, can you?
No, you can't. You can never fault the gameplay mechanics because they're always great.
They may not innovate in looks and graphics and all that kind of thing, but gameplay innovation, they do.
They stick to their strengths. Yeah.
They stick to what gaming is. They want their games to be fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what you get with Nintendo. You get fun.
Yeah. They stick to their strengths ideally, and they've never tried to be. I mean, outside of, let's say, GameCube, which was the first time they've brought out something that was, I wouldn't even say it was ahead of its time, but it was very different. It was a home console with a mini disc. It was tiny. The games looked beautiful. It performed really well. Graphically, it was actually a little bit ahead of where things were at the time, and that was unbeknownst for Nintendo to do something like that for a while.
That controller, though.
Yeah, oh god, yeah. Yeah, the controller was weird, but then again, they've always been known for their weird controllers. But yeah, for me, it's just I want to see PlayStation. I don't like quiet PlayStation because it's as if, again, slightly, like Animated said, slight arrogance. We'll do what we want when we want, like, forget everybody else. Like, they've already said at the beginning of this year, essentially they're looking at what Xbox are doing in terms of the way their game plan's going. They've tried out the launch and things on PC. It's 350%, like, overperforming what they expected. So it's performing extremely well on PC. So they're going down the multi-plat route. Okay, PlayStation, PC, because we know it's doing well there. This is our plan, or game plan going forward. We're going to do games as a service games. We want to launch 10 of them by 2024 or whatever it was, or 25. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. But what we need to see now from them is what is this plan? What games are you bringing out now to excite and push the medium forward?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Might be a bit wild, but do you think Sony are being quiet because behind the scenes they're trying to push the gap for day and date on PC closer than it's ever been?
I think we'll see day and date and PC in 24. That's when I think. I think it's gonna be a little while yet. I think next year we're gonna get still a lot of 6 month. I think it's gonna be 3 to 6 month differences every time now. I think it's not gonna be like you're waiting a year. I think it's next year and this year it's gonna be 3 to 6 months. We know the Last of Us remake is coming out first on PlayStation, but they've said coming shortly afterwards on PC, and I think shortly afterwards is 2 to 3 months. I don't think it's way longer. And I think going forwards, God of War, exactly the same. I think that's going to be 2 to 3 months later. I don't think it's going to be like way different.
Yeah,
So I think next year we're going to see, depending on what games they're releasing, 2 to 3 months before. And then they'll slowly narrow that gap. Slowly. But it's going to get very close.
I mean, that could be a reason why they're being so quiet, because they are trying to blur the lines between that gap of it coming to console and then PC.
Mm.
And they're just trying to work things out behind the scenes to make sure they can do that.
Yeah.
In a 3 to 6 month gap.
Yeah. And we know.
Conversely, sorry, Dutch, but I'm just gonna throw this out there as well, right? Just because I don't think it's PC based, okay? I think a lot of their developers were told we believe in generations, your next game is going to be for the PS5. And then all of a sudden, when they're back on that, they said, guess what? You're going to have to make that work on the PS4 as well.
Yeah.
Because
that's a good point.
That was a statement that's like, no, you finished with the PS4. Come on, let's go. Everybody, PS5. All of a sudden, they've gone, there's a chip shortage. Well, shit. And then they've gone, guess what? Your game
makes
is now going to have
a
to
lot
go on
of
the
sense,
PS4.
especially...
And now you have to get it on the PS4 as well. So take the time. We'll be quiet. It's going to launch on both. Or we'll wait until there's enough PS5s in the ether that we can just say, guess what? PS5 only. That's another thought.
That's another. It's a good point there. Actually, I was going to say there's another good point. Actually, is the fact, and we know now, and we can see it in most shops and most online stores. Xbox is more often than not now in stock on both consoles. PlayStation is extremely rare to find them in stock online or in store. And so even now, I think potentially the only thing holding them up is why would we do an event if we can't get in, like, to show off what is coming now, when we theoretically can't get enough stock anyway to sell them? Like, yeah, they're still selling a lot, and it shows that in the sales performance figures anyway, that they're still selling a lot of consoles. As and when they're going into stock, they're out of stock.
But they wouldn't sell more.
Yeah, exactly.
With a show.
Yeah.
Right there with you. It's really not that they are not selling anything, and they have actually a lot of consoles out there.
It's because they can't oversell, and essentially with a show they would sell more than that. But go on, sorry, continue.
No, you're basically right. They wouldn't see a spike in sales just because they have a show, because everything they can manufacture right now is selling anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what Animated Evil said about the PlayStation 4s makes sense as well, because they did put the PS4 back into production, right? They ordered was it 1 million more or something like that?
Yeah.
To be made.
Yeah,
so that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and they said they are gonna continue to support the console up until 25. So we're looking at least for 2 more years of cross-gen.
Yeah,
and I would say be a reason why they've gone so quiet. Then
I was going to say for me, I think they're going to do a case-by-case basis for games until 25. I think some of them they're going to say, no, listen, that's just PlayStation 5. Like, Final Fantasy's come out and them guys, and of course, people have read the article wrong, but again, it's the article's title's wrong, etc. And it is more of a clickbaity title towards it, but they're essentially saying we can't, like, yes, we know it's exclusive to PlayStation 5, but it's got nothing to do with Xbox. It's exclusive to the 5 because it does require an SSD to run, and we know there are certain games on PC now that require an SSD to run. On PC, you can't just use a hard disk drive, and it is more because it essentially requires the speed to load the assets in as and when they're needed at a reasonable pace, because if it isn't, you'll be sitting there for a good 30-40 minutes while the game loads, and essentially that's what they're trying to hack out. It's not that it couldn't run, it's because if they did run it on just a regular hard drive at regular speeds, it would take forever to load the game in and forever to get when you're doing fast traveling and things like that, because the assets wouldn't load in quick enough for the size of the stuff that you're needing to do. Essentially, that's the thing that they're trying to iron out. So I can understand there's going to be one-off occasions over the generation, specifically up until 25 for PlayStation, where they're going to go, no, this isn't going to work on a PlayStation 4. We do actually need it just on the PlayStation 5. And they're going to do that. But there's going to be those others that have to be cross-gen, or will be, because it doesn't require it.
I think a lot of the games will actually not be fun anymore on the old consoles.
No, I mean, I know that firsthand.
But
yeah.
But we will drop into the 20s and the frame rates, and we will see big resolution dips and stuff like that.
I know that firsthand. I've mentioned this before with Horizon. I got the game on launch. I played as much as I could of that game. But it isn't it isn't enjoyable in the manner that it is on the PlayStation 4 Pro. The console itself literally sounds like it's going to take... I was streaming it and everybody on the stream could hear the PlayStation 4 over me.
Oh, I was there when we were streaming it, and we could hear it in chat.
It was boiling hot when I was doing it in the first place, because the console was running as fast as it possibly could to get that game working. And even then, there was lots of pop-in. Like, it was asset pop-in, so the characters were there, but then like all the textures and things were loading up like 2-3 seconds later, so it was like every time you turned and glanced, the character would then pop in with its animation. And when you were traversing the world, it was a lot of pop in and things like that. It wasn't, to that point, it takes away from the game and its enjoyment, because it's taking you out of the experience and out of that world. So I've put that in the back burner until at some point I pick up a PlayStation 5, because it's not worth it. And again, you're gonna have those instances where some people, unfortunately, don't have the option to upgrade, so they're going to play that version of the game, and they might love it, and all power to them, but that's not the way the game's meant to be played, not in that state. So yeah,
I'm always like, dude, you know, when you know that you're getting a PlayStation anyway, get it early in the generation, because if you think about it, it might sound weird at first, but a console is never cheaper than when you buy it day one. Because if you think, like, let's say a generation goes for like, let's say 7 or 8 years, and it's like, if you buy the console on day one, the console is going to cost you like, I don't know, bad at math, but you know, like $70-$80 a year, and if you buy it like 2 years into the generation, or let's say 3 years into the generation, and even if you buy it cheaper, then by then the price has dropped to like $100 and you buy it at $400, it still will cost you more per year. So with that kind of logic, think about it, dude.
See, for me, I was hoodwinked by PlayStation's marketing. So I was originally, and I had a PlayStation 5 pre-ordered. But then they announced, because all the way up until that point when the PlayStation was going to come out, God of War's coming in 2022, in 2020, God of War's coming out, it's launching with the console, it's going to be there. And then, it's not going to be there, it's going to be next year. And I was like, right, okay, well, and if that's the case, I'm not getting a PlayStation 5 now, because that's the only reason I'm picking it up at launch, was to play God of War in like a month's time.
Yeah, but there's still plenty of games there that are definitely
but there wasn't one
on the PS5.
Yeah, but at launch there wasn't another one that I wanted to play on the PlayStation 5 that required it. And even back then, you've got to think there wasn't any of the next gen enhanced versions of their games. So you weren't getting any upgrades to Ghost of Tsushima, which you already have. You weren't getting the upgrades to any of the other games that they'd already had out. So all of that stuff wasn't there.
Like Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank and these kind of games.
Yeah, so all them updates, no one knew about them yet. So there wasn't a need for me to get it there. And I was like, well, it can wait till next year. I'll pick one up at some point next year. And especially, you've got to think at launch, and I know you did the same, but you're talking Xbox Series X and controllers and games or whatever you had with it, and the PlayStation 5 and controllers and games.
It was an expensive year.
That's yeah,
no doubt.
That's an expensive launch window. So it would have been like, do I want to spend $1,000 this month, or do I want to spend 600 quid? It's it wasn't easy in the end, because that game didn't launch. It was a case of right, yeah. Then I'll wait until they've got a few more, because Ratchet and Clank, I'm like, yeah, it is a good game. I love the first one, but it's not something that make me buy the console. So it's a case of I'll play it when I get it. But
Yeah.
I wanted God of War, and Jen said exactly the same thing. We're going to get a PlayStation 5 for when God of War comes out, so we've got a couple of months to try and pin one down now.
Hopefully aiming to get it a month before the game comes out.
Yeah.
So,
It should be easy
I've
enough
got
to
a
do it
month
by that
to
point.
play the backlog.
And then at that,
I would actually try to get it right now, honestly, because you're not the only ones that want to get a PS5 for God of War. So
yeah.
True,
Well, to be
but
fair, there's
I'm
I don't
not,
think-
I'm not that worried.
there's one
if I
store.
can't get one, I can't get one, and I'll just get one when I can get one.
There's one store near me that I went into the other week, and there was loads of Xboxes on the shelf and things like that. But they were selling. There was a guy going to the store, and he was going and he was buying his Xbox Series X, and I was like, is it? And there was a guy picking up a PlayStation 5, and I was like, the PlayStation 5 is quite hard to get. And he said, no, not really. Like, we don't always have them on shelves, but we'll get them in frequently. So they're easy enough to get, but we just don't have enough to put them on shelves consistently. So it's essentially just first come, first serve. So if you come on a day, there's a good chance we've got a couple in the back, but we don't put them on the shelf because there's not enough to put on the shelves.
yeah.
So it's a case of I could probably go and get one. I could probably go to the store and say, have you got one in? No, we'll have one tomorrow. Right, I'll just come into the store first thing tomorrow and pick one up then.
It's pretty much the same on Amazon. I'm seeing PlayStations on there every other day, but they sell out pretty quick.
Yeah. So
I could have grabbed one the other day if I wanted to, but I'm not. I'm honestly not too.
the thing is with them is that they're just releasing much smaller batches, like much smaller. Like Xbox will be up for an hour because they've got like 20,000 units. PlayStation probably throw out a couple of 100 to 1,000 units and then it's gone. I don't think they've got the stock inventory to kind of put up all the time, but they've got enough of these little dribs and drabs to do it on a daily basis. But yeah, so I'll be picking one up. God of War is something I will be picking it up for, because again, thanks to Horizon Forbidden West, I refuse to play another game that's cross-gen, or at least designed for cross-gen, on the PlayStation 4 Pro at this point. I know for a fact, after playing Horizon, that it's going to be extremely loud on the console. It's going to have some issues. It's going to have lag issues, some texture pop-ins and things like that. So yes, I refuse to play that. And again, like Jen said, then I'll have the opportunity to go and play the game and enjoy the games that I've been putting off because it's on the old console. And I'll go back and I'll revisit Ghost of Tsushima with its update. And I'll revisit Horizon Forbidden West. And I'll play Ratchet and Clank. And then God of War come out. And I'll have a whole bunch of games to play.
You'll have that big hefty backlog to go through, and it'll be worth it then. Because you'll have like 5 or so games to play.
Yeah.
That you'll actually really enjoy playing. So you'll spend a lot of time playing that.
Well, 100%.
That's pretty much what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
If I can get it before God of War comes out, I'll spend that month or two. I get it early, playing the backlog.
Yeah.
I'll be ready for God of War in time.
Yep.
But if I don't, not a big deal. I'll get it when I get it.
Yeah. That's fair. The next one's a little bit of a fun topic. I don't know whether or not you've had a chance to have a little think about this one. But yes, best and worst games we have played in 2022 so far.
So that's a hard one for me because I haven't really been buying a lot of new games.
Yeah, so a couple of the ones that I've got are actually more ones I've played on Gamepass as well. Even I'll head to my list anyway. I think I've got 2 of each essentially of my best and worst.
All right.
So
let's hear it.
Yes. So for my worst, first of all, is actually 2 games that went into a preview and on Game Pass. So 2 separate games on Xbox. One of them I mentioned on the weekend, which is Armor Reforger. which was a notorious combat game that was built, like a combat sim game that was built for PC originally, and it's made its way over to Xbox. And the next one is Project Wingman, which is
What was that?
that was a bit like Ace Combat, but more. It was meant to be more realistic version of that, but it was by another indie team. Those are the worst kind of games I have played this year based on their performance on console and the way they handle, the way they look. Both of them aren't great ports of those games. They're not refined very well. They don't play well. For Armor Reforger, the character animations on the enemies are wild and horrific. It's like really old, like Call of Duty things where it's like these like stick characters that just stand in one place and just fire the weapon, and like you can just see them, like you can pop your head up and you can just see them stand in the middle of the road just shooting in your general direction but not hitting anything. You're like, God, this AI is terrible, like really bad. Graphically, it's not. It's bad, but you can see, like, again, if you have a look on the highest performing PC shooters aren't anything to write home about when it comes to graphical performance. Like, you're talking about CS:GO, for instance. Like, there is nothing. That is the most basic looking game in the world. But that's one of the highest performing games on there. Same goes for Armor. Armor's massive on PC, but dear God, does it play horrifically on console. And Project Wingman, that one, for me, didn't have much going. It was just these, here's a few objectives, keep firing at these, keep destroying these, keep destroying these, keep destroying these. The missions seemed to last forever doing exactly the same thing, and it never come to an end. It was like, right, I've took out all of these, and they just keep respawning the same things and the same things and the same things. I'm like, right, I'm just going around in circles here. Like, it didn't seem to have much context or anything to it, and the combat flight sim and things, and it was really easy. Like, you spot one, you fire a rocket, he never dodges it, you blow him up. But they never use chaff, they never use maneuvers, they're not really active AI. Like, it's pretty, when it comes to a combat flight simulator game, it's pretty poor. Those are my worst ones for the year. Boxy, what about yourself?
Well, about with the worst one, I'm struggling, honestly, because usually I don't play games that I don't think I'm gonna like, and if I don't like a game, I'm just gonna stop playing it immediately.
Yeah, well,
So,
the ones that have made you stop playing
but
them.
there one, yeah. So one is Serious Sam 4.
Yep.
I don't know what.
It's funny you say that
what
because
is-
that is on my list.
Yeah, so I don't know. I loved the OG ones, the first two, back on PC. It was kind of like stupid fun,
Yeah.
but this one isn't it. It is really not good. But yeah, I only
Did
played
you
like
get a lot
I
of
wanna
like
say 30
screen
minutes or
tearing
so.
in that game, Boxy?
Tearing the
same
shooting
for me.
feels just so weird off. There's just, it's not fun. I stopped after 30 minutes, and it's similar with Myst. I know it's not a 2022 title. It actually came out last year, but I played it this year, so
Yeah.
I want to add this to the list. I have so much nostalgia for Myst,
Yeah.
and and somehow that remake isn't doing anything for me. So yeah, I think those are the two I want to put on my list.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was much easier to put the games.
Oh,
best
yeah.
games I played
Yeah.
together. Let me tell you
It
that.
always is. We found this on the weekend because we did worst on the weekend. We did worst like ever and best ever. So, but it was really hard to remember the worst ever because, of course, you just try to forget them as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But thankfully, this is just 22, so just the worst ones you've played this year. Animated, what about yourself? The worst games you've played this year?
So, right, little caveat. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know when people have always asked on social media, who plays old games, right?
Yeah.
You remember that question? Who the fuck plays old games?
Yeah.
I'm
It's
going to tell
usually
you
us.
who. This guy.
Yeah.
This guy plays old games, okay? So what I've been doing on my YouTube channel, shameless plug,
Yeah.
is it's been a month or so. I'm going through Gamepass games A to Z, playing them for about 2 hours,
Yeah.
and give you my thoughts. Okay, and I did come across 2 games that I will never call a game a bad game. Okay, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just these are just games I particularly
Dislike.
disliked playing. Yeah, I'm not dislike. That's my opinion. At the end of the day, okay. I'm not saying, just in case anyone's like, "What's my favorite game?"
Yeah.
You can't say no. I'm not saying that. This is my opinion. So the multiplayer Aliens is Aliens Fire Team. Is it that? That was it.
Yes.
What it was called?
Aliens Fireteam Elite, is it?
Yeah.
It's
I
called-
haven't played that yet. And
Hated it. Absolutely hated it. I know it was the guns were loose. The aliens just felt. Bleh.
Yeah.
The sound, even the sound production. I know my friends have called me out for this, and I said it on my little preview that the sound was designed to sound like the movies. However, the movies are so old, it sounds shit. I'm sorry. It didn't feel it didn't feel like I was shooting a gun. I might as well have been holding a hairdryer. It was just like, come on. So that was one I particularly disliked, and the other one.
One of the
played-
guns in it sounds like, that machine that like they
Yeah.
use to dig up the
Yeah,
ground.
it was like the laser cutter thing. Yeah, that was. It was like, really? Come. Why does it sound like that? It's supposed to be an automatic machine gun. I'm going to cut down aliens with. It's going to give me that exact thing. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Didn't like it. Okay, so I played that this year, and the other one, okay, that I disliked, I played a couple of weeks ago. Maybe for have I done the preview for it yet? No. I haven't released it yet. I played it a couple of weeks ago. It's called The Astroneer.
Oh yes.
I I just disliked it. It's the same ilk as Ark and the Subnautica. If I'm gonna be playing a game, right, I want to be told what to do, at least to start with. I don't want to be dropped and go, off you pop, sunshine. That's not my idea.
Yeah.
That's
Not telling you anything or how to do
my
anything.
idea of a fun game. It's not, because what do?
Yeah.
There's no tutorial. There's nothing. There's just off you
Yeah.
go. That to me isn't fun.
Yeah.
So my 2 worst I've played this year is Aliens Fireteam Elite and The Astroneer.
Yeah, that's fair. Good choices.
If you want, it's fine.
Good choices. Jen, what about yourself? Worst of 22.
One of them is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. Yeah.
Poor execution of a great game mode that was in Rainbow Six Siege
Yeah.
for a time period. I just thought it was really clunky in comparison to Rainbow Six Siege. It felt very rushed.
Yeah.
It lacked like a main focus to what that game was.
Mhm.
And then Crossfire X is on that list.
I forgot about that.
Because-
I forgot about that.
We all know how that game came out.
Yes,
and
we know
I
how
think
it-
I'll leave that as
damn, I
because-
forgot about that. Yeah, can I add
everyone
that to the list
Yes.
as well?
Yeah.
I think everyone knows how bad that
Oh,
game is.
that
It
was
doesn't
so
need
bad.
any
The
explanation.
fact that you
why
had
it's so
to,
bad.
the fact that you had to tweak the controls for about 4 days to get it to the point where it felt okay, not great, but okay and playable, was testament to how bad the controls were on that game.
Yeah, and then Serious Sam is like the third one. So for all the same reasons Boxy said, it's not a good game. The screen tearing was tragic. The drop frames was tragic. Awful. I think I played that game for around about an hour or an hour and a half, and it felt like I was getting dizzy because of the screen tearing.
But yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, they're my worst experiences of this year.
That's fair. That's fair. Like I said, with Crossfire, thankfully, we eventually got it to a point where I had the controls dialed so it was playable. And
I still haven't gone back and played the campaign for that. I haven't got the effort to.
The thing is with the camp, and this is another thing that wound me up about that game as well, is the fact that they had 0 achievements for the campaign, so it gave nobody a reason to actually go and play the campaign in the first place, because as soon as they played the multiplayer and they thought, God, this feels terrible, they didn't even bother turning the campaign on. They just went, nope, that feels shit, I don't want to touch that. Like, what's the point? There isn't any achievements for it anyway, so it's not like I have to play through it to get the achievement.
It felt very like a last minute idea, the campaign. Like,
and you know what it is?
Multiplayer and all that was ready to go.
I was going to say,
like, oh, we need something else.
You know what it is though? Like the actual campaign, once I had the controls dialed in, was a good campaign. It wasn't great. It wasn't going to blow your socks off. But to me, it felt like your generic Call of Duty campaign with a generic storyline. It wasn't like, whoa, like super surprising. It was pretty predictable, but it was enjoyable enough to play through. Thankfully, it was pretty short. It was like 5-6 hours at most. Nice graphically.
That's 5 hours you're not getting back.
I enjoyed it. It was the multiplayer, unfortunately, that was ruined. I think the multiplayer itself, because they showed so much and they promised so much in previously and in the showcases, and showed them all diving in and X, Y, and Z, and showed the gameplay, and it looked really full of punch and looked really graphically impressive. And then you play online and it's just weird. And then you've got these overpowered maneuvers where you can transform into a beast and slice people up into bits and like never take damage, and it's like, what is going on? So just like loads of people transforming and killing each other like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that goes into my worst as well. So thanks for reminding us of that, Jen.
I had to. I was looking through my achievements list because it's a hard one to think of the worst ones, because you just don't remember the worst.
Yeah, you try to forget.
Yeah. I totally forgot about Crossfire. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to jump into my best of the best ones I've played of 2022. This is much easier. The ones that stand out in memory, though. Elden Ring. Now, as much as I have now jumped off Elden Ring, for me...
Have you finished it?
No, I have not. Now, the reason I'm putting it in the best, though, is for me, as someone who had never played a Souls game up until a month before Elden Ring came out, and I jumped into Dark Souls 2 for a little bit for a stream as a noob plays Dark Souls. I always said in that, like, I'd probably like this game if it was a little bit more open, because you don't clash against things. You've got a little bit more room to maneuver and dodge out the way of attacks and things like that. And then I think that would be more playable. Going into Elden Ring, that's exactly what I got. It was tough as hell. I got help from people, like friends, like Barely Making Rent, who jumped in with his friend and helped us beat a boss that I got stuck on for a little bit and things like that. But the actual mechanics, the open world, the toughness that was both fair and unfair in equal measure, kind of everything that came with that game made it, for me, a surprise hit. Yes, I haven't went back to it so far, but that's because mainly I got lost and the game doesn't tell you where the hell to go. So I'm just like, whatever. Like, at this point, I don't care. Like, I enjoyed what I played. I enjoyed the nice open world section of it. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the combat. I enjoyed grinding and leveling up and going down these new dungeons and seeing these wild areas, and even all the deaths that I had. Like, it was frustrating, but it was a fun frustrating. There's not many games that can make dying repeatedly a relatively fun experience.
Really? I thought this is my biggest criticism about Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It's actually not fun to die, and it is actually not a fair game. I like challenging games. I like difficult games. I truly do. But if you design a challenging or difficult game, you have to always give the player the feeling that you died because you made a mistake.
Yeah.
And Elden Ring doesn't do that. It fails completely in that regard. It just feels bad to play. It is not a fun game to play. It is a good game, but it is not a fun game.
See, I found when I died on Elden Ring, and this is just for me anyway, when I died, I had definitely made a mistake. So, for instance, I'd either go in gung-ho or I was really careful and then forget, because I was being really careful, I wasn't paying attention to my health. And then before I knew it, I'd actually took enough damage to the point where I was like, this much. And then I'd be like, right, okay, this is the last guy. And then the last guy would just get this little knock on us and I'd be down. And I'd be, oh, why didn't I just heal? Why didn't I just use one of my heals? And I'd be...
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the boss fights.
just random enemies and everything, yeah.
It is really like you walk around a castle and then you go around the corner and there's this little mouse sitting that one-shots you, and there's simply no chance that you could have anticipated that you will die when you walk around this corner.
Yeah.
There's simply no, and then you suddenly lose like 30 minutes of progress.
Yeah.
Because you lose your runes or what they were called. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is just frustrating, and it is not a fair game. It is a intentionally unfair game, and that doesn't make it fun to play. I've compared it like to games. For instance, I think like Hollow Knight is in a sense a good comparison. It's not obviously two completely different games.
Yeah.
But it's also a very challenging game, Hollow Knight. And I died hundreds of times playing Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
But every time I died, I knew exactly what was my mistake. What did I do wrong, or what do I have to do better next time?
Yeah.
And I, in like 90% of the times that I died in Elden Ring, I didn't have that feeling.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like one of the two big problems, or one of the three big problems that this game has. And I know that the Elden Ring Defense Force doesn't like to hear it. But the game is also very generic.
Yeah.
It's like you play the first two areas and then you repeat the same dungeons and same bosses and everything.
And just
over
gets
over
progressively
and over
harder, and that's
and
it.
There's really and the game stops rewarding. In the beginning, the game is so rewarding when it comes to exploration. It's like around every corner, every dungeon you find, it's worth getting through because you find something good.
Yeah.
And after the second or third area, that just stops. Everything you find is useless.
Yeah.
It's completely useless.
And I will say that as well, the vast majority of the good things are very complex to unlock. Like, they're not straightforward. Like, if you have a look at, like, best weapon in the game, it's like, you need to do this, then go here, then come back here and speak to him and do this.
That's the third thing. I don't get why people defend it.
Yeah.
But a game that is based around finding good loot should have, for instance, little conveniences like, let me compare the stats of my stuff. You know how I was playing Elden Ring? I took like pictures of my TV with my smartphone, and then I was able to compare
the stats. Yeah.
That's not how I want to play a game in 2022. And if I combine these three things, this game is not a masterpiece by any stretch of the means.
Definitely not.
It isn't.
No.
It is it's a good game. It was good enough to keep me entertained, and I played. It took me like 85 hours or so to beat the game. And if I thought it would be a bad game, I wouldn't have invested that much time.
Yeah,
but it
exactly.
is in no way, shape, or form a masterpiece.
No.
In my opinion.
Agree.
But I know the From Software Defense Force has a completely different. Thought about that.
Of course. No, but I agree, and for me, it came into one of my best of the year because it was surprising for me to enjoy a game like that. Again, I'd never been a Dark Souls fan. I'd never got into it because, again, the original Dark Souls games had always been just frustrating to the point of frustrating and just not enjoyable to play. Which is why I didn't bother with them in the first place, and why I continue to not bother with them, including Dark Souls 3, for instance. I didn't pick that up because, again, I'd played 1 and 2 and I didn't like either of them, so I'd bought them and they just sat there. Because I played them and I was like, I have no idea what to do, where to go, I'm stuck in this castle, I'm going round in circles, everything kills us in one hit, and there is no plan as to what I'm doing here. I didn't like it at all. With Elden Ring, I got a little bit more enjoyment out of it, and I actually was able to kind of enjoy a Souls game for the first time, and for that that is what I appreciate about that.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Because the world itself is, at least in the beginning of the game, is really well designed.
Yeah.
It's like this fresh breath after playing the classic RPGs where you have like a million question marks, and it doesn't really hold your hand. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
I like that. It's different. It's fresh. So yeah, there are also, I think, like the combat is spot on.
Yeah.
So the combat mechanics feel really good.
Yeah, they do.
The RPG mechanics itself are fantastic. Like the game really rewards you to try out different combinations, different ashes with this or that. That's really the good part about the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. The next one I've got on this list, a game I haven't played much of, but the amount of, because again, I'm this gaming ADD, so I'm always between games anyway. But I did very much enjoy, and I can't wait to get back into, is Weird West.
Good one.
Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed. Again, it isn't a game that is easy by any stretch of the imagination. The open section's fine. Like you'll walk through the opening section all right, but as soon as you get there's like a little town that you get to with like that's surrounded with guards and it's like fenced off and things on the first section. And as soon as you get to that, that's it. They just step the ball up. They're just like, and hard. You're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But it's such an inventive game, and you've got to think about what you're doing, and you're like, right, well, how can I get here without disturbing him, or how can I take him out without him noticing? How can I unlock this? And where is this guy? Where's the clue that I need? Where's the key that I need for this door? So it was so inventive. Really enjoyed.
Yeah, great choice.
Next,
tough game.
That does actually sound like a game I should play.
Yes, it is.
Brilliant.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Yeah, you can play this game like, and even after 20 or 30 hours into the game, you will discover complete new mechanics that you can do. Like I had ACG on my podcast, and I was like 20, 25 hours into the game at that point, and he pointed to me out, like, you can, for instance, run into a camp. Everyone sees you and they're gonna follow you, and then you go into a house, and you lock yourself with everyone else in that house, and you just climb out of the window and throw a lantern on it and burn everyone to ground, stuff like that. It's completely
that's brilliant.
Yeah,
It really
blows my mind, and it is really like there's rarely a game that rewards you to try out.
Yeah, think outside the box. Yeah,
it's like do everything you can imagine.
It's good as well. I did it in that town, so I opened the door, so they went to check out what was inside of the cabin. So 2 or 3 of them walked inside this cabin. As soon as they walked into it, I closed the door, locked the door, and run off. And that was it. They were stuck in the house. They couldn't get out. So I know it was like, right, they're taken care of. Next. So it's like, think on your feet. How can I get around this situation? And you can be inventive as you like. You can throw rocks at them. You can kick lanterns. You can throw barrels down them. You can use your environment to distract them or kill them.
Yeah.
If there's like a lantern sitting on a rock and like right beside the encampment, you can kind of aim at that instead, and then it sets the entire thing on fire. And yeah, it's so inventive.
It is absolutely great choice. What else is on that list of yours?
Yes. So my next 2 are 2 indie games. One of them, granted, didn't come out this year, but it's an awesome game. And the other one did come out this year, and thoroughly enjoyed it start to finish. The first one is Trek to Yomi. Loved that game, start to finish.
Yeah.
Brilliant game. Loved the art style. Loved the sound. The combat wasn't over complex,
well realized.
Yeah. It was a well realized, great indie game. But again, Devolver Digital never seem to miss. Their games always seem to be on point. They bring out some really good games, and it was an enjoyable experience. Loved going through that game. Loved playing to it. I know there's a few endings. I know I've only got one of them, but I enjoyed the ending that I got, and I enjoyed the playthrough. Next and last one for me is Flynn, Son of Crimson. What an awesome game that is, if you haven't played that. It's another indie game. I haven't
played that.
Yes, it's on Game Pass as well at the moment. I highly recommend it. It is another platformer.
How is it called?
Flynn,
Flynn, Son of
Flynn, Son of Crimson.
Gonna download that right away.
You will love it. Really enjoyable game. Really beautiful art style as well. It's like that old kind of pixelated, but a little bit more, should we say, a little bit more new version of pixel. Such a beautiful game. Really great, like traversal and combat, and nice story, nice world. It's an awesome game, and I highly recommend everybody to go out and play it as well. I've played it on the PC and beat it on there. I've already got it on Xbox. I need to play it through it again on there, and I will do, because it was a great game. But those are my two kind of more indie, bigger, should we say, smaller indie editions there that I absolutely loved from this year. So yeah, they're my best of 22 so far. Two indies and two larger games. Jen, what about yourself?
I think the Evil Dead game stands out for me, just because the demon, like playing as the demon.
I think everybody did that. They were just like,
fuck
being the human. I just want to be a demon and murder people.
Yeah, I did play as the human a lot because I was playing with Berserker this.
Yeah.
So I did finally get into playing as the human.
Yeah.
But there was just something so much more fun about being a demon and messing with the survivors, like the group of survivors. Like, there's a bunch of different characters in that game that all do different things. They all have different abilities. Same with the demons. There's 3 demons in the game. Each one has their own abilities.
Yeah.
And you can like place little demons in areas and all that, and trap up like little loot boxes with Ash's tiny hand or Ash's tiny little versions of Ash. They're from the third Evil Dead movie, Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
And they jump out at people and distract them. It's just a hell of a lot of fun, and winning that is so successful. I can't even think of the word. I'm blanking on the word. Yeah, it's enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot of fun.
Sweet.
And number 2 was Guardians of the Galaxy, although it came out last year. I played it this year.
I'm exactly the same, actually. I forgot about that one.
Gamepass.
Awesome game.
Bloody
Awesome game.
hell of a good time. The story was amazing. Each character stood out. In my opinion, it's as good as the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Each actor in that did a great job of portraying the characters as closely as possible to their movie counterparts. Although their characters are more based on the comic looks, it still had that Guardians of the Galaxy movie feel to it.
And hats off to them as well for including every part of every unlockable cosmetic in the game.
Yep. And that's what I was going to say. The best part about it is there's no microtransactions. Every costume you find in that game is unlockable just through stumbling across it, or if you follow a walkthrough guide. You don't have to pay a single penny for those costumes.
Yeah. Awesome. Really great choices. Really great choices.
I think
great choices.
What else I played that was bloody brilliant. What else came out this year? Oh yeah, Sniper Elite 5. That's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've had some good fun on that.
For that especially.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a good time and a hell of a lot of laughs with friends. Just like hiding somewhere and trying to figure out where you're hiding, because we both did that a lot.
Yeah.
Trying to shoot at each other and missing, and then getting
nut shots on people,
kill cam.
Getting testicle shots. It's always the fun.
Shots, yeah. It's just a barrel of laughs. Those multiplayer experiences.
Yeah.
And the single player is pretty good as well. I haven't completed it yet. I do need to go back and get back into that game.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
Definitely.
They're my 3 big ones.
Awesome. Boxy, was it me and you that played through a little bit?
Actually.
Oh, go on.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
I
love that game. Love that retro time with that. It's brilliant. Different characters. You complete the game. You unlock Casey Jones.
It is
can't
wildly
not
manic
like-
with 6 people.
Yeah.
It is ridiculously
It is-
like
it's-
you don't even see
it's
what is
hard to
happening on
keep
screen.
up. Yeah, that's
It's bad
that's
enough-
the
it's bad
only
enough
negative
before.
thing
Yeah.
I have with the game is that when there is 6 people in the game, it's hard to keep up and know which one you are because it gets messy.
Complete chaos.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
chaos, but it's fun chaos, and that's the purpose of it. So yeah, that's why it's here as well.
Awesome stuff. Boxy, was it me and you that played through a bit of the Sniper Elite campaign, or not? Was that someone else?
No, we didn't play Sniper Elite.
I forgot. Oh, it might be. It was Shom actually. It was Shom that I played through, and the only issue we had with the campaign was this one funny bug. One bug, and would never have found it in a million years. We just happened to stumble across this one section of a road that we weren't technically it doesn't head anywhere. We stepped on the edge of the road that happened to have no texture there, so we both fell through. And we were clinging on to underneath the map, and we couldn't climb back out. We were like, how did we even find this one little section of the map that seems to have a hole in it? It seems like a statistical improbability, but we both found it and unfortunately had to restart. But other than that, the campaign's fun. I like the fact that you can actually you can jump in essentially as an assassin and hunt down people whilst they're playing the campaign and kind of disrupt them. But it's rewarding for people playing the campaign because if you do objectives whilst they are in the game, you unlock additional XP and bonus XP for staying alive whilst this invader is within your game and completing tasks. So if you manage to complete the level and the invader hasn't killed you, you essentially 2-3 times XP. So it actually rewards you for getting through the level whilst being invaded. So there's actually a point to it. So of course they get the reward for killing you, and you get the reward for surviving whilst they are there. So it's a good mechanic for a change. It's an interesting mechanic as well, trying to figure out where the hell the invader is, because again, you're all snipers, so he's sneaking around. You can't really see where he is.
I'm on the other side of the fence, so I ended up turning that off because it was annoying.
Yeah. I can understand it, but like I say, the good thing is at least it rewards you for doing stuff whilst the invader's there, as opposed to just the invader's there, you get no benefit from it at all, other than staying alive. At least you get rewarded. Okay, if you manage to stay alive, it's 2 or 3 times the XP, and you can boost up much quicker and unlock all your stuff quicker. So yeah, that's good. That's good. Boxy, your best games of 22.
Well, I think my game of the year so far is Dying Light 2.
Oh.
I absolutely love that game. The world
I haven't got around to that yet.
It is fantastic. It is definitely fantastic. The world is incredibly designed. Like the parkour system is incredible, and when you continue in the game and you start to learn how to read the city, so you really will learn that by playing the game, that you see, oh, I have like that web is a pathway, or this one is a pathway. This parkour system feels incredibly rewarding, fantastic. I love the storytelling. The writing was good. The combat was good and fun and impactful. Like your stuff, your weapons really packed a punch. It is. I really enjoyed that game. And it's massive.
Yeah.
It's really big. And absolutely well designed. So yeah, I had the blast with that. I also want to mention Horizon Forbidden West. I really enjoyed that game. It was what I was expecting. I don't know why people didn't seem to enjoy it that much. It was just like the first one, a great open world game, a good story. Aloy was fantastic again. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. I know people talk about bugs, but honestly, like there wasn't anything in that game that isn't in every other open world game that came out over the last 10 years. It's just because it's an open world Sony first party game, people seem to criticize it. It is like it is, and the same fate will happen to Starfield, by the way. It will,
Of
that
course,
game
yeah.
can come out.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter how good it is. people will smash it because of bugs. And like I had a discussion on my show a few weeks ago. Like, tell me one open world game over the last decade or so that came out without any issues or bugs.
Yeah, I mean,
So
even people
No.
don't remember, but even The Witcher 3 had
yeah,
bugs.
The
was
Witcher.
terrible.
Jesus,
It's
there were
probably my
like
favorite game ever. It was
quests.
terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't think
absolutely.
there's a single open world game that comes out that doesn't have issues.
Yeah. Well,
It's
100%. I've
inevitable.
not known one that hasn't
And it
had
was
issues.
like, and it was the same with Horizon Forbidden West. It had pop in, and there were glitches. Sometimes you had that occasion where you have like that rock where you just could walk through, or
Yeah.
sometimes, an NPC got stuck in a tree or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, would I love if games didn't have that at launch? Absolutely, but I'm just like I kind of gotten used to it.
Yeah.
If I look at like my favorite games ever in the state that they came out,
Yeah.
like Skyrim. Can you remember?
Yeah.
We mentioned The Witcher. All these games came out. So yeah, I'm probably a little bit more forgiving in that sense I
think I say for me, it was
Horizon.
only primarily for me because it's on last gen. Like it isn't playable there. It might
Yeah,
be
I
to
can
some
imagine, I
that
can
really
imagine.
overlook it because they've got no choice to. But for me, I
on the
can wait.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. I get that. The old base consoles, especially,
Yeah.
just getting underpowered to run these games. So
Yeah.
that's a different story, though. And then, so I want to mention that we already talked about Elden Ring. I'm not putting that on my list. I have even though it's a good game. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying when we're talking about the best games I've played this year, I want to mention two others.
Yeah.
Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
Yes. I've heard really good
fun.
things about that.
It just was
Yeah,
a lot of
really
fun.
is good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Of course, if you don't like Borderland type of games, you're not gonna enjoy Tiny Tina. But if you're into Borderlands, this is a good one. And then I know it isn't actually a 2022 game. It came out in late December last year, but I just recently played that, and that is Chorus.
Yes. A lot of people are just starting to play that game now.
Phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Like I was so surprised by it. I thought like, okay, this is just your standard average space shooter, but it really isn't. It's an open world game in space. You have side quests, you have everything that you have in open world games. Like you can upgrade your ship, you can find resources, loot, and all that stuff is fantastic. But the star is the core gameplay mechanic. I really have to think hard if I have ever played a space game where the ship controls felt just so satisfying like they did in Chorus. They have like this drift mechanic. You can drift your spaceship in space, and sounds weird. And like you have to do that in the first mission, in the tutorial mission, and it was like bouncing against walls and rocks and everything, and I didn't get it. But once you get the hang out of this drift mechanic, it lets you do the most amazing maneuvers, and you feel really like a badass. You are, and then the controls are just incredible, and it looks gorgeous. It looked nothing of this filmic effect like film crane or chromatic aberration and shit like that you're always supposed to turn off. The image quality is crisp, clean. I love it. It is phenomenal. Highly recommended. It's on Game Pass. Chorus. Yeah. So I think that's the best.
The best ones that stood out to you this year. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Last but not least, animated. What about yourself, brother?
Well, there's a familiar pattern forming because my games are, oddly enough, all really small games and all available in Game Pass at the moment. Okay, so a great game to me is something that surprises me, and I think, wow, what? Do you know what I mean? So the bigger games, you know what you're expecting. Although I enjoy them, don't wow me as much. It's okay. So I've got 3 that I played, all on Game Pass, and all that are just absolutely amazing, right? So the first one was called Origami 2. I never played the first one. This is like a ninja game in colonial Japan, and it makes you feel like you're actually there. The atmosphere is great. The sword play is great. The RPG elements are also great. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's such a beautiful game, but simple as well.
Yeah.
It throws you into a lot
I
of.
haven't played it now.
It throws you into a lot of situations where you've got a choice, right? You sneak, you kill, or you die. That's your 3 options, right? So you've got an objective to do, and you're basically a Japanese, the last of the Japanese samurai, basically.
Yeah.
And you've got to get through these zones, and you do these missions and the side missions, and it just felt, it was the atmosphere that got me on that.
Yeah.
And again, I jumped in it on Game Pass. I thought it was brilliant. Okay, and I think that came out last year. I did play it a couple of weeks ago. The second, there was another surprise for me. It's called Eiyuden Chronicles Rising.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah,
you
I
guys
played
have
that
played
too.
this. Such it's
Good
it's
game.
a RPG / side scroller. It's really weird. It really is weird. The art
is.
style I loved, the music I loved, and the way it played. You've got some town building going on, and
And
Oxenberg,
the combo, the fighting mechanics, when
Yeah.
you get like the characters and you can link the attacks of your different characters together. Great.
Yeah. So
Good-
the
good fun,
story,
that game.
the story itself is good. I've only got 2 characters at the moment. I mean, I need to go back and do a bit more, but that was again another surprise,
Yeah.
which actually it's made from something coming out that was brought on Kickstarter called Eiyuden 100 Fighters, I think.
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
100 heroes
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
something.
Yeah.
Which is
100
gonna be
heroes,
a
yeah,
complete
so-
different game next year then.
but because everyone was so excited, they decided
Yeah.
they'll split the team up and make this game in the meantime.
Yeah.
And I thought that was absolutely so brilliant of them to do.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
And the third, which is again another indie game, because I'm loving these at the moment. I really am so involved in stuff.
Yeah.
Astria Ascending, which is a very weird
It is.
turn-based game. But the thing is, again, it's all voice acted. It's completely weird.
Yeah.
But the art style itself just looks so brilliant. I got so immensely involved of this simple little game that can be as deep as you want it to be,
Yeah.
because it has classes, it has weapons, it has armor. You can do it as deep as you want. It has skill trees. You can avoid all that,
Yeah.
but you can go as deep as you want with that kind of thing. And for me, those 3 games themselves were such a surprise. I thought, do you know what? I'd be remiss not to mention those 3 right now, because I love them.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm surprised, and that's why.
Yeah. Astria Ascending's a good show, to be honest. It's a bit of a weird one as well. As you mentioned, I think the art style is both beautiful and weird, because the character designs are just strange. Like, everyone's got like really wide legs, or really long legs, or really big hips, or really big shoulders, or what is it, like really abnormal shaped characters, but they're all weird and wonderful. But the actual art style's like a weird mix between watercolor and hand painted, and
yeah, it's not so just that as well. But when you think when you think in turn JRPG, right? It's turn based, right?
yeah.
It's also got platforming elements and puzzle elements as well.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
There's platforming to do, and there's puzzles to do. The first few puzzles are a piece of piss, but
Yeah.
when you get further on, these puzzles are like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But it's still side-scrolling platforming plus turn-based. That's what surprised me. It's the amalgamation of all those things.
Yeah.
That really draw me to a game.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. Boxy, have you played Astria Ascending yet? You're not unmuted yet. I don't know what happened there. There you go.
Oh, that's the good old Yeti
there
mic.
we go.
It does that.
It's,
Press the button.
yeah,
it
it
don't
does
work
that from
sometimes.
time to time. No, I haven't played it.
You'd probably enjoy it, to be fair.
Yeah,
It's a weird. It's essentially what What I've forgotten the name of the first one already. You just mentioned.
Euden Chronicles.
Yeah, it's like
No?
that, but with the turn-based RPG in it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
basically, yeah.
It's definitely worth checking out. I don't even know how long it is. To be fair, I played maybe 2 hours of it, maybe 3 hours of it or something.
No, I'm 5 or 6 in, I think, and there's nowhere near.
Yeah,
It's I think it's going to be quite long.
Quite a big
I'm
one.
thinking about 20 because do you know what? There's nowhere near. I'm anywhere near any kind of story yet, and I've been playing it for 15 to 20 hours, I think.
yeah, definitely. Awesome stuff. Well, another awesome show, guys. A little bit of a shorter one this week, but a great show nonetheless.
I mean, we are already running for what now? 2.5 hours. So
Yes, yeah, it
I
is.
wouldn't call it a short
I
one.
wouldn't call it short, but we still managed to make more of these topics than what we usually would. So, but again, it's been some great discussion, some great point of views, and an awesome guest, Animated Evil, first time on the show.
Looks like the poll.
Yes. Should
had
we?
the
We'll
pink
get
one as
before we
well.
wrap it up. We'll get the poll. We will end the poll actually. And unfortunately, Boxy, the results are in. We'll let them just generate in there. Peppa Pig had 62% of the vote, and Paw Patrol 37 with 32 votes. So the crowd have
Disappointed.
spoken. I'm
a little
sure.
disappointed here. You know, I love the community, but
Oh dear me. But yes, awesome stuff. Again, a bit of silliness in the chat there, but it's again, it's all fun and games. Peppa Pig wins that one. I'm sure Jen's going to be over the moon to be playing that tomorrow for 2 hours. Looking forward to watching you do that. But
Is it too late to pull a sickie?
yes, too late. Too late. You lost the bet. You have to do it.
No.
But
Make
yes.
a bet. I lost it. I got to go through with it. So,
Yes, it's going to be fun.
and the life lesson there is don't make bets. Don't gamble.
But awesome show anyway, awesome show. Animated, it's been an absolute blast having you on, brother. Thank you for joining us. Of course,
Yeah,
let
it's
the
good meeting
people
you,
know
mate.
where they can find you, and I know you're a part of a couple of podcasts, so let them know where they can watch those as well.
So yeah, it's been an absolute honour being with you gentlemen today. I appreciate the invite. Appreciate you having me. I've had an absolute blast. You can find me right, Animated Evil 857 on Twitch and Xbox, Animated_Evil on Twitter and YouTube. At the moment, due to time restrictions, both are under review. See what I want, where I want to go with them. Okay, both Twitter, Twitch and YouTube. I'm trying to find my feet, guys. Trying to find my feet. So every Thursday on 4GQ TV,
Yep.
which I'm a panel member over there, and usually on a Wednesdays, why I can't join is I'm on midweek gaming with Stubbs, but that's on the download until September because of it's summer and he works too hard. But yeah, do you know what? It's been an absolute honor. Thank you to the chat who are the most important people in this room right now, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
No, it's been a blast.
It's good
Again,
meeting
thank you for
Animated
coming on.
Evil.
Awesome stuff. Next up, Boxy. Let people know where they can find you, and of course, your podcast that's on every Thursday.
Yeah, it is on every Thursday, and I know you know who else is gonna be on this week. You, my friend. You, my friend, will be there, and I can't wait. It's been a while since we had a one-on-one conversation, and we have. I digged really deep into the interwebs, and I found a few topics that I haven't seen anyone talk about this week. So it's gonna be fun. It's definitely gonna be fun because we have also fantastic community questions we can answer, and
Yeah.
that is gonna happen tomorrow, Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Europe. That's 7 p.m. UK time or 2 p.m. Eastern. So definitely hope to see everyone there as well. And other than that, people can find me, of course, everywhere. Here, like here. There we go.
Yep.
Oxenberger. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Oxenberger. And yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. Animated Evil. It's been a real pleasure to meet you on a podcast. I know we've chatted on Twitter for a while, but it's the first time we've been on a podcast together. So
Really enjoyed that. We need to have a little chat about you coming on the world of gaming here, man.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome, dude.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I'll hit you up in the DMs. We're gonna make it happen, man. And yeah, Chen, where are you? There you are. It's always a pleasure with you. And thanks again to the community. It's always fun here, man. So yeah,
Awesome
take
stuff.
care, everyone.
Awesome. Last but not least, General Pepper. If you let people know, let people know where they can find you and where they can watch your Peppa Pig antics tomorrow.
They can find me suffering tomorrow at 8 p.m. BST time, 3 p.m. EST time on my Twitch channel, _general_C. Same on Twitter. I'll be back here on Sunday and back on Midweek Mix-Up next Wednesday and also Tuesday for Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't get cheaters this time so we can actually get to what we were trying to do.
Yep.
But that didn't go successfully.
Yes.
Yeah. It's been a blast talking with Animated Evil. Great guest. And hopefully look forward to seeing you back here in the future.
Definitely. Awesome stuff. And of course, an announcement for next week. Next week's episode is our 2-year anniversary. 2 years of the Midweek Mix-Up podcast, believe it or not. Huge. 2 years, yes.
Jesus, time flies.
Time has flown indeed. We have some awesome guests lined up for next week. So the ever illustrious and funny King David from Iron Lords podcast will be joining, along with Gaz from Game On Daily, and we'll have the developer on from, or one of the developers on from the game, of course. Oh, now I need to remember it.
Hypercharge.
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you.
Hypercharge Unboxed.
Hypercharge Unboxed. Yes. We've been speaking. It's been getting a lot of hype on social media. It is an awesome game that takes ourselves back to the good old days of toy soldiers and things like that. And it's so well developed. It's got horde mode. It's got co-op. It's got PvP. It's already out on Switch and PC. So if you have...
I think there is a demo available on PC as well, so if you have a PC, go and try it.
Yes. And it is coming to Xbox in Q1 2023. But they're going to be joining us as well. It's going to be awesome. Potentially another special guest next week, but we shall see. But at the moment, most definitely King David, Gaz from Game On Daily, and of course Hypercharge Unboxed devs on there as well for an interview on that. So that's going to be awesome. And of course, celebrating 2 years in the podcasting game for ourselves. So of course we're going to have some fun, reminisce a little bit, and just have a good time. But again, massive shout out to everybody in chat. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you again for coming out every week and supporting us and having fun and being an awesome community that, again, everyone is nice to everyone. Everyone has fair discussions. There's never any toxic stuff in our chat, and we love that. The community is absolutely awesome. Keep it up, because, of course, without this community, we wouldn't be going for 2 years, put it that way. We wouldn't be where we are today. So, again, massive shout out to the community. Thank you for coming along again tonight, and we will see you all again on Sunday for the weekend edition, and then next week for the podcast 2-year anniversary. Until then, guys, have an awesome evening, enjoy your gaming, and see you later. Goodbye.
Good night, guys.